Special one for you Charlton Athletic fans today.
We're all addicts, aren't we?
Yeah. Apparently, voted the third most popular Charlton Athletic player ever.
I don't think we've ever had so much abuse.
Beforehand.
I don't think we got abuse. I think when we put the questions out, and the Charlton fans went a bit ballistic,
obviously. Not us.
Who is it?
It is Lyle Taylor.
I tell you what, though, he spoke. He wanted to get. I think he did want to speak about it straight away, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he spoke brilliantly, I thought.
Well,
I want people to.
For those Charlton fans, for those that are listening or watching that aren't Charlton fans even, left under a bit of a dark cloud, we say, wanting to leave relegation. But
I think dark cloud's been kind.
Yeah.
And at the time,
raining, thunderstorm, tornado.
At the time, I'd have been with the Charlton fans, I think.
Yeah,
but
without knowing
the scenarios that went off before that.
Yeah.
Then it throws a whole new perspective on it for me.
I wonder how many people are going to change the perception, the mind.
I don't think any Charlton fan will.
Do you not think?
No.
Even though, well, we'll find out. But
I don't think any Charlton fan will, because they're stubborn, aren't they?
It's a disgrace.
Allegiance, isn't it?
Not just Charlton fans, just fans in general. They're stubborn, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, I think with your allegiances, yeah. But then I think once we get into it, then you have an acceptance, a bit of understanding. Like, do you know what? I should cut him a bit of slack.
Big thank you to O'Neill's.
Special mention.
Played golf again on Thursday and wolf whistles.
Yeah.
Just about to take me drive, just keep getting wolf whistled.
Yeah.
Because I do wear the same blue jumper every time I go golfing.
It's good though.
Well,
beautiful.
You never change the winning team, do you,
No,
Chris?
thanks to O'Neill Sportswear for sponsoring and supporting the entire series again. That new shirt's even closer. Right, should we get Mr. Lyle Taylor in?
What did he play for, by the way?
He played for a hell of a lot of clubs. We're talking Millwall, Concord Rangers, Bournemouth.
By the way, they were flying that season.
Falkirk,
Brilliant.
Sheffield United, Scunthorpe, obviously Charlton, AFC Wimbledon.
And there's somebody else.
Forest,
Colchester.
I've skipped loads.
Have you? It's all right.
I've skipped absolutely way up. Still going. Birmingham City, Cambridge, Cheltenham, Colchester. But we get into the meat of.
You fancied him.
He is a good-looking lad, like.
Beautiful-looking young gentleman.
Good hair.
Yeah.
Should we get him in anyway?
Yeah, let's get him in.
Although, can I just say, a few comments did make us laugh because they were like, just be prepared, lads. You might just get up and leave 40 minutes into the recording.
See, they're good crack, them Charlton fans. They're great, lads.
It did make us laugh. Oh, something about he'll go on another podcast or something.
Well, let's get him in.
Let's get him in, bless him.
Mr. Lyle Taylor.
Still playing.
Proper chilled, mate. I don't know if you've seen any of them before, yeah?
Yeah. Proper chilled until we ask about Charlton. Is that what you were going to say?
I was going to say move over David Norris, actually. My favourite, who I have down as the best looking guest that we've had on. You part-time model as well.
In a previous life.
Yeah.
In a previous life. Many, many moons ago. Yeah.
High praise that, because you've got a
That's
big
what
soft
I mean.
spot
Start for
for
David.
David.
Yeah.
So what are you trying to say is you fancy Lyle?
Yeah.
I think we're all in that boat. Yeah. I'm glad my fucking missus is not here. I'm being bothered.
But we have been peppered by Charlton fans, haven't we?
Yeah.
I can
Do you
imagine.
get it?
I get it constantly. I was in Blue Water yesterday and two Charlton fans come up to me and said, can I have a picture? I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, you don't want to kill me? Okay, fine, fair enough. So there are still some that don't hate my existence, as it were.
That might be one of them two, though, by the looks of it.
Yeah, I think it.
You must have dropped on the good two.
Yeah. I don't think there's many who look too fondly on me, but football's football, isn't it? And you make the decisions you make. And a book by Lemony Snicket, A Series of Unfortunate Events, is probably the best way to describe the last 12 months of my time at Charlton.
Talk us through it.
Straight in.
No, yeah, just
so
you're thinking what happened.
I joined the club from Wimbledon on a free, and I don't think anybody expected me to do as well as I did in the first year. We obviously, that season, we finished third in the league, and we played Sunderland in the playoff final. I think I scored 24, 25, something like that.
I've got 25.
But I had a good season. I had a really good season. Goals, assists. At times, I think I wore the captain's armband, got on really well with Lee Bowyer, really, really well with the manager. And the fans were one of the best sets of fans I played for. Now, after we got promoted, my wages went from £4 to £6 a week in the Championship. And we went in, as you would. I've scored 25 goals. I've had a really good season. Can Lyle have a new contract? And the owner at the time was a Belgian fella called Roland Duchâtelet, and he said, no, you've got your increase for being promoted. That's your bonus for being promoted. And I was like, okay, but that doesn't put me in line with even the players in the strikers in League One at the time. So I was like, well, there has to be some sort of upside. So my agent, who knew Bo from playing alongside him at Leeds, said to him, he said, look, if Lyle's not going to be offered a new contract, then we have offers from elsewhere of people who are ready to take him and ready to pay him 12, 14 grand a week. So it was like, are the club going to do anything? Are they going to move or anything like that? Or is it going to be a case of, no, you've got what you've got. You're in the last year of your contract as well. I only signed a 2-year deal. And it is what it is. So the club were like, no, we're not moving on it. So we said, okay, so how much is Lyle worth to you? And I think they started out at like 1.5 million. So my agent went, Lyle, they're saying they want 1.5 million. So I was like, 1.5 million? There's no way anyone's paying £1.5 million for me. He went, let's see. Okay, fine. Off he goes. Gets the 1.5. The club went, no, we want 2.5. Off he goes again, gets the 2.5. At this point, it's Brentford. So I have had a conversation with the people I needed to have a conversation with to see what the club looked like from the inside, what the project was, what the manager was like. We had all of those conversations. And the club said, okay, 2.5 million, done. Charlton said, no, we want 3. At this point, it's deadline day, the transfer window. I have played one game against Blackburn in the Championship, scored 1 goal. We won 1-0, I think it was. And we have got Stoke at home on the second weekend of the Championship season, and the transfer window shuts on the Thursday. So on this Thursday, I've been told by my agent, go to Brentford, it's getting done. I've been given assurances by the manager at Charlton and by the head of recruitment at Charlton that it's done. 2.5 million. Move the goalpost. No, we want 3. Got the 3. We want 3.5. Then it was 3 plus £500,000 in add-ons and performance-based add-ons. No, we don't want that. We want 3.5 million up front. Fine. 3.5 million up front. Done. No, we want 4. Brentford went to 4. If I pulled up maps on my phone, I could pinpoint exactly where I was sat in my car, waiting for the call. It's done. Drive into the training ground, because I was told, like, be there, be ready, because it's deadline day. The medical's going to need to be done, and obviously at this point, your deal sheet and all of that kind of stuff has to be done. So fine, okay. So I'm ready and I'm waiting. 4 million done. No, we want 5. We're not going to 5 million. He's 29 years old. He's played 1 game in the Championship. Fair enough, like we rate him. He's played 1 game in the Championship. We're not going to 5 million. He's got a year left on his contract. You're only paying him £6,000 a week. So the plug got pulled. So I get a phone call from the recruitment staff at Brentford, and he apologises to me. And at this point, my head is in the bin.
I can imagine.
As you can imagine.
Mine would have been at 2.5 million.
Yeah.
After the 1.5.
Yeah. Well, especially when you're giving assurances and you've done everything your end as well. So I drove around the corner and I called Jason Pearce, who was the club captain or team captain. Chris Solly was the club captain. So I called Piercy. I said to him, I'm never playing for the club again. I said, they've disrespected me. I said, that's it, I'm done. Many, many expletives, as you can imagine. And I walked into the Tesco's Express and I got myself a drink, and I come out and I called Chris Solly and I spoke to Souls, and they both tried to talk me down as they were, I mean, Solly might have even been a year younger than me, but I'd known Piercy since I was 20 at Bournemouth, 21 or whatever I was at Bournemouth. So Piercy was a more senior player, and Soles was more senior to me because he was the captain of the football club and had been there forever. They talked me down off the ledge, and the club then contacted me. I can't remember who. They might have even been through my agent, and they said to me, this is the Thursday. They said, have the weekend off. We'll see you Monday. And in no uncertain terms, I told them to stick it where the sun don't shine. I'll be in tomorrow morning. So the next morning I walk in the building, and I got in, and I remember seeing a few of the boys who were in the canteen having breakfast, and I can see people then turning and like whispering and muttering and having conversations with other people. So I walked down the corridor.
What have you got in your head? What are you, as this morning, going to look for you? Are you going in seeing Bowyer?
It's I'm saying what's on my mind. I remember the manager got to me before I could get to the manager. So I've walked down the corridor, dressing room's on the left, chucked my stuff in my spot, which was around the corner, and the manager's seen me go in. And he goes, Lyle, can I have a word? Yeah, fine. We walk out of the first team dressing room, and there's a door on the left, which is the referee's changing room. We go in now. He starts talking, and I said, no. I said, you fucked me. I said, what you did was unacceptable. It wasn't me, Lyle, it wasn't me. It's above me, it's Roland. No. You promised me, Gallon promised me, and it was like, well, we said you could have the weekend off. No. I'm playing Saturday. I said, and you best believe you're not taking me out of the team. And that was it. I walked out. Like, there was so much anger in me at that point, because what I'd been offered was life-changing at that point. That season, I turned 30 years old in the March. Obviously, this is the August, September, I don't know what date it would have been, but yeah, we'd had one game so far that season. And a lot of the boys then started making jokes, and it was like, oh, didn't expect to see you here, Lyle. And it was like, funny, yeah.
You didn't need that, did you, really?
Too soon.
And but it was one of those where the boys knew me so well, and I was always one of the loudest people in the dressing room. But at that point, jokes, yeah. And they kind of just went, oh, okay, this is bad. Because nobody other than Piercy and Souls knew exactly what had happened the day before. So the old, oh, didn't expect to see you here today is fine, but nobody knew the ins and outs at that point of what had gone on the day before. So to say it was raw, it was raw. So we played Stoke at home, and I scored and didn't celebrate in that game. We beat Stoke 3-1.
Ballpark, what would Brentford have been offering you?
14 grand a week.
So you're looking at 400 plus a year, aren't you?
On a 3-year deal.
Like you said, life-changing.
At nearly 30.
Yeah. So, yeah, and at the time, Brentford did things differently. They had more of the money ball kind of way of recruiting players. And at this point, it was, they had Said Benrahma and Ollie Watkins, and I think they might have signed Mbuemo that summer as well. And it was a case of they wanted to play Said one side, Ollie Watkins the other side, because Ollie was a winger at the time, and then play me as through the middle as a 3. And that was what the manager had said to me. And we'd sat down and we'd had conversations and what have you. And then it's all obviously been ripped away because of decisions that had been made above me. So, okay, fine. So, scored against Stoke.
Where was the drive coming from in that Stoke game? Like, where was the...
Pure hatred of the fact that you can do one thing and say another and completely change the trajectory of my life just by your decision, be it a selfish one or otherwise. I realised quite quickly, which the younger me wouldn't have realised. The younger me would have probably gone the other way and gone wrong and strong. But the older me realised the only way that I win in all of this is if I go and do what I can do and stick two fingers up at you. So
whilst
Frustrating as
whilst
well,
playing
isn't it?
for you.
You're still doing it for them,
yeah.
aren't you?
you are still doing it for them, but at the same time, the only one who loses if you don't do it for them is you. It took a little bit of me getting my head around that. And it was the only feasible option. Because what do you do with a year left on your contract? The transfer window is shut. You can't go anywhere for the next 4 months. So what do you do?
You can't really toss it, can you? It's not really in your interest.
It doesn't
anyway.
help you. And years gone by, I might have done that, but it wouldn't have helped me at all. So I kind of just got my head down. And I think in the first 6 games of the season before the international break, I think I had 5 goals and an assist. So I started really well. I think we were second in the league at that point on goal difference from like Leeds or something ridiculous. We've just come up from League One, so we are absolutely flying. I go away on an international break and I got injured. I injured my LCL. My little brother plays for Montserrat with me as well, and I'd flown my parents out for that international break. It was the first time my dad had been to Montserrat. He met his older brother that he didn't even realise he had.
I like fucking Davina McCall.
Caribbean stories. Honestly, Caribbean stories. Well, put it this way. I only found out I'm asleep in the afternoon. I got a knock on the door at a hotel. I'm like, what is going on here? I open the door and I see this bloke stood in front of me. And I'm like, you are the spitting image of my granddad. And he said, are you Lyle? I said, yeah. He said, I'm your uncle. My name's William, but they call me Bib Beep because he owns a taxi company. So it was like, how my dad's one of 6. Like nobody said there was a 7th. Like, so my dad, who's the oldest of the 6, he didn't even know. None of my aunts or uncles knew. My nan and my granddad knew. My granddad had his son before he left the island and came over to England. And they were the only people that knew. And I only found out because obviously I played football for the country and this bloke knocks on my door and he's a spit of my granddad. I'm like, what is going on here? So this international break, I flew my parents out to watch the games. They've never seen me and my little brother play alongside each other for the country. So my dad meets his brother and
They pick him up from the airport.
do you know what? I don't think he did.
Come on, Uncle Baby. You're coming that up from the airport, weren't you?
I don't think he did. Because they
took a bit to drop that, didn't it?
But the flight to Montserrat is from Antigua. So you go to Antigua on your big plane from England and then you get on your little 12-seater plane, 10-seater plane over to the island. And my stepmom isn't the greatest flyer in the world. And she's on this tin can and she's like that. But not only is she like that, there's players around. So because they travelled with us, with the team, they were on the same flights as us from Antigua. So she's like, oh my God, I hate this, I can't do it. We made it there in one piece. And yeah, first game of that international break, I popped my LCL. So they fly me home the next day. And I had a scan. I got home. I had to drive myself home from Gatwick, which wasn't ideal considering it's my right knee. But what can you do at this point? The next day, the physio turns up at my door, Alistair Thrush, and he goes, right, Mr. Never Been Injured Before. You're injured. And I was like, oh no.
Would he been arsey?
No, he wasn't. But
But
I'd been speaking to him and I was like, I don't get injured. Like, I'll be fine. Like, I've never been injured. I've never had a serious injury, never had a muscle injury at that point. I'm 29 and a half. I've never been seriously injured. I've rolled my ankle. I've had a black toe and all, you know what it's like those kind of injuries, but I'd never been injured. I'd never had a muscular injury, calf tear, hamstring tear, none of it. So I was like, I don't get injured, so I can't be injured. And in my head, if you don't believe you're injured, you're not injured. Yeah, I was wrong.
Don't look like that.
So it turned out I had an almost full thickness tear of my LCL, which is the little ligament on the outside of your knee. And one of our players had an LCL injury either the year before or the year before that, Pat Bauer. But his was apparently worse. So they said to me, Pat got back in like 9 weeks or something like that. So I was like, okay, I'll be back quicker than that. If his was worse than mine, surely I heal well. Nah, it was 14 and a half weeks before I was back out there.
Should I head back in the bin here? Just because the situation fueling that anger.
Yeah. So I and I also got a lot of crap off Charlton fans at that point because they were like, you wanted to leave and now all of a sudden you're injured. You go away on international duty and you play on these crap pitches and then you get injured. I was like, no, it's nothing to do with the pitch at all. I flicked the ball with the outside of my foot, something I've done 1,000,001 times, and I heard my knee go pop. So it was an innocuous action and a pop, and then I carried on playing. Could I have possibly made it worse by carrying on playing? Yeah, but I'm playing for my country. I've got the armband on. Like I'm the captain. I'm not walking off. I think we were playing maybe Belize or something like that, and we were winning 2-1. I'm not walking off this pitch. Now, when I got injured, Charlton actually offered me a contract. The owner came round and he spoke to Lee Bowyer, and Bow managed to convince him that offer Lyle a contract. So he offered me that season and the next season, and he offered me 14 grand a week, which was what Brentford had offered. We were really honest with the club. We said, this is what Brentford have offered. And we were really honest. And at that point, I'd scored 5 and 6 in the Championship. So as it stands, I'm hot property. I might be injured, but I'm hot property. And no one really knew the extent of the injury or how long it would take me to get back. I'd just been told, you'll be 8 weeks. No one knew it was going to be 14 and a half or 14, 15, whatever it was in the end. So we went, no, the number's 20 now. Like, make hay while the sun shines. I'm the top scorer in the Championship. So you strike while the iron's hot. That's what you do as a good agent. The owner said, no, I can't go to that. 14 is the max. Okay, no problem. Lyle will see his year out. He'll get back from this injury. He'll go back to scoring goals, as we know he will. No problem. So that happens, and we're going into like the Christmas period now, and I'm back and I'm playing, and I'm able to train more, and I'm still getting referral pains in my knee and whatever, but I'm able to train and play. In the January transfer window, I got a little bit of stick, like Lyle's going to leave the club and blah, blah, and I can't even remember how many goals I'd scored at that point, but we played Derby away, and I was on the bench, and I came on and scored a penalty. I think we lost that game 2-1. And my agent met with the new owners of Charlton, who were now East Street Investments or whatever they were called. And that was the fake sheikh. What was his name? The mixed race fella. Southall. Him. So these are now in control of the club. But we know all of this is going on inside the building. And I'd been told before they even decided to take over the club, these are bad news. And here's the evidence why these are bad news. And it was Southall that was the bad news, because he was the hanger-on on the club scene in Manchester. Exactly.
That's how I know him.
Exactly. So there you go.
You know him?
Yeah, that's how.
So that's what I'd been told, and I'd been given all of the evidence. So I was like, I'm talking to the boys in the dressing room while this is going on. I'm like, yeah, these are cowboys, absolute cowboys. I remember he came to the training ground once, and because there was rumours we weren't going to get paid because there was no money left in the accounts. Comes to the training ground and he stands in front of everyone in the analysis room and starts talking and blah, blah, blah. And I remember being sat in the front row, and it was me, Jason Pearce and Chris Solly sat in the front row as senior players. And we had all of the ground staff around, all of like the catering staff, the academy staff, everyone was in there. It was him basically trying to trying to explain that everyone was going to get paid, and we weren't buying it. So he got called out on a few things and he didn't like it. And thankfully for him, one of the ground staff fainted in the back of the cab, in the back of this like port cabin, and he got off. Like he got out of there quick, sharp, because somebody had
lined it up before.
Yeah.
If it's going tits up, there's 50 quid there. Paid.
Just give him the nod. That scratch of the ear.
But it was like we had him on the ropes at that point, trying to find out what is going on at this football club. And like at that point, I'm not thinking about me. I'm thinking about that we might not even have a football club to pull the shirt on because of the way these lot are doing what they're doing. So that's all going on in the background. Then they go to the manager and say, we're going to offer Lyle a new contract. And he was like, okay. And they go, we're going to offer him 10 grand a week. So Bo goes to him, but Lyle's already turned down 14. Why would he sign for 10? His contract is running down. Why would he sign for 10? Don't worry, we'll get him to sign it. No, you won't. You won't. It's just not going to happen, is it? I now know my value in the market. So we get to the end of January, and it's like the penultimate day of the transfer window, and Brentford come back in and offer 3.5 million. They turned it down again. From that day until the day the world shut down, which I believe was like the first weekend of March, I think we were supposed to play Hull away. And on the Friday, I think Mikel Arteta had already gone down with COVID, and then they shut the whole of the footballing world down. So we never travelled up to Hull that day. So we played 7 more games, and they'd turned down the 3.5 million from Brentford. We played 7 more games, and I never played for the club again. So at that point, it was like we didn't sell him because we wanted to keep the fans on side, even though we've got a fake shake and there's no investment and we're draining the accounts and this, that, and the other. And then I never played for the club again anyway. So when we were offered the chance of extending the deals and stuff like that in the lockdown, I couldn't even tell you when it was, but the Championship and the Premier League went back, didn't they? League One and League Two Cup. So there was the talk of extending the deals and blah, blah, blah. And I remember speaking to somebody and they said, black players are indirectly affected worse by COVID at this point. That was the research. And that was what they'd said. So they were saying black players can basically just throw the towel in and go, well, no, we're affected by it worse than white players. So we can just kind of say, oh, well, I'm not playing. And I went, no, I'm not playing because I've had a really bad knee injury. I've had a lack of care from the football club. What's gone on last summer has gone on. What's gone on in January has gone on. What's gone on with the old owner has gone on. What's gone on with the new owner has gone on. Also, there might not be a football club to come back to because at this point, we're all taking pay cuts. Everyone took
Furlough.
Everyone took a cut of like whatever it was that you were then going to be paid back. Now, to this day, Charlton owe me 72 grand. No one knows that. It's the first time I've said it to anyone because they stopped paying me. Full stop. It wasn't like, oh, we've stopped paying you, but you'll get this and that and back, whatever back. And because I made the decision I made, I decided not to even bother going after the club for the money because I was like, I'm already hated. I lived down by Bluewater and I was getting people saying, we're going to egg your house. We know where you live. We'll put fireworks through your door. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And I was like, what? So at this point, I'm going, I can't be asked. It was a choice of me going to Forest or to Brentford. Now it's, I don't know, June, July. I met Sabri Lamucci and had a walk around Regent's Park with him. Because at this point you could socially distance, but you were allowed out in the park and whatever. So I walked around Regent's Park with Sabri Lamucci and had a conversation with him and really liked him. But there was an offer on the table from Brentford and there was an offer on the table from Nottingham Forest. There was £1,000 a week difference. Forest were paying more. So having had this meeting, and obviously I've told Charlton I'm not going back and whatever, I said to Forest, thank you very much, but I'm going to go and sign for Brentford. And they were like, no, you're not. What do you want? So bear in mind, I'm 30 years old. The most I'd earned was £6,000 a week, which had been cut short because the club decided they didn't want to pay me anymore when I'd done something that legally I was allowed to do, but I'd gone about it the right way and said, no, I'm not playing because of this. I'd even offered the club an opportunity. There was an insurance policy that we'd offered the club that would have covered me for £1 million payout. It was going to cost them 10 grand. Insure me for the 10 grand and I'll play those 9 games. But I have to be covered because if I get an injury that is going to absolutely do me in, you're not going to offer me a contract. The contract at wherever I'm going to go next isn't going to be there. So are you going to do the right thing or not? Now, they said no. I said, okay, fine. I've tried to do my best. And the manager understood that. And I spoke to the manager and he was like, Lyle, I get it. I'm going to have to throw you under the bus publicly. He said, but there's no way you can come back and play.
And what was the narrative publicly?
The narrative was Lyle's decided not to play because he doesn't want to risk injury before he gets his move. And I was fine with that because that was the truth. I'm not going to hide behind anything. I came out on Sky Sports News and I did the interview with Keith Downey. I'll be completely honest. I stood up there and owned it. I weren't the only one at the club that did it.
Yeah.
The club captain did it. No one cared. Centre midfielder David Davis did it. No one cared. It was me that became the problem because I'd scored 11 goals in 22 games that season. Had injury problem, yeah, fine. But I was the talisman, as it were. So I was on it, took the flak. Souls is back working at the club. Chris Solly now. He's like pathway coach, manager, whatever it might be.
He's fucking buzzing you did that, innit? You know what I mean? He's like, what a fucking guy like this. Hey, cut me out the shit.
100%. Now, look, I made the decision I made for me, for my future, and I stand by it. Like, Charlton fans can hate me all they want. Ultimately, when my mortgage has to be paid, are you going to pay it? No. So
yeah, there's no need to convince me. I'm fucking Team Lyle here.
So I did what I did, and I own it, and I stand on it. To this day, I stand on it. I did the right thing by me and myself, especially when the football club were doing the right thing by them for those 12 months, 8 months, 9 months previous. So fine, no problem. So I don't hate Charlton. I don't hate Charlton fans. In fact, the Charlton fans are one of the best sets of fans that I've had the pleasure of playing for. And I had an incredibly successful time playing under that badge and pulling that shirt on. And I loved it. Being born in Greenwich and then playing for Charlton and having arguably the best goal scoring part of your career is poetic, to say the least. So I hold nothing but love for Charlton. And if people hate me, then so be it. What of it?
They've surely got to direct the anger at the club, though, because even the thing when you said about covering you for £1 million, it would have cost them 10 grand, and they've said no. Like, they've only got themselves to blame on that front.
No, but these are the things that people don't know that go on in football. How many things can we speak about in football that we know, but outside of the bubble, outside of the dressing room, outside of the four stadium stands, no one knows.
How long, from when you went in to see Boyer that morning after the debacle on the night before, how long after that were you all right with him?
The majority of the blame landed at Steve Gallen's door. Now, Steve Gallen became the Montserrat assistant manager when Lee Bowyer got the job, and I obviously was instrumental in Lee Bowyer becoming the Montserrat manager. Steve Gallen was brought in as an assistant. From the point of that day, where the deadline had closed, where the transfer window had closed, to the day he became the assistant manager of Montserrat, we didn't say a word to each other. We hadn't spoken. And then it was kind of water under the bridge. But it was only water under the bridge because of what happened subsequently. Because if I'd have taken that offer at Brentford, I wouldn't have got what I got in the end. I accepted an offer from Brentford a year later, which was worth more than that, substantially more than that. And Nottingham Forest said, no, you're not going there. Here's a blank check. So it was like, okay. So
great lad. I love him.
At that point, I'm 30 years old, and the money I'd earned at Charlton in the Championship was the most money I'd earned. So if somebody presents you with a blank check and you're earning 4 and 5 and 6 times the amount you were on previously at 30 years old, you don't go with what your gut says is the right decision from a footballing standpoint. Because when I signed for Charlton, I got offered £6,000 a week at Sunderland in League One. And I thought, I met Jack Ross and everything, and I really liked Jack Ross. I went and seen their training ground, me and Chris Maguire, because we had the same agent. Saw it all, thought it was brilliant. I asked him for a goal bonus, and the owner of the football club at that point said, so if you miss a chance, you're going to pay me back your goal bonus. I don't think that's how it works.
I'll be peppered.
So it was like, okay, well, now you've done that, and I've met Lee Bowyer and Steve Gallen at a hotel in Canary Wharf, and they called my agent straight after the meeting and said, Lyle isn't the person that we've been led to believe that he was. Because I was apparently known to be quite outspoken and could be a bit of a problem and whatever. So at that point, having met both managers, seen both clubs, Sunderland is an institution. It would have been incredible to play for Sunderland, but it wasn't right for me at that time. So I decided to go for what felt right from a footballing standpoint rather than the money at that point. Now, no one will ever know what would happen if I'd have gone to Sunderland. No one will ever know what would have happened if I'd have gone to Brentford instead of Forest. But Forest was the first decision I made that wasn't for me. It was for the big picture. And from a footballing point of view, it didn't go great. But football, you don't really have a great deal of control over that all the time.
Putting you on the spot, Chrissy, what are you doing?
What?
In Lyle's position?
Well, I was just going to say I can completely understand, when you've been through what you've gone through, to then you go into self-preservation mode and looking after your own and your family. Was there ever a moment of weakness when Charlton offered you that contract that was the same?
No.
Was you that far gone? That's the breaking point, I think.
Answer my question next time.
I think in that period, that point, then I'd have gone,
while injured.
I'll sign the Charlton contract.
But it was a weird one for me because I'd never had an injury issue before in my career. And it sounds ridiculous, but that LCL injury at 29 and a half was my first injury.
Yeah.
So I just thought, I'll get over it.
Yeah. I don't think I'm twisting in that situation.
Nah.
See, you're a better man than me because even though might have all worked out going to Forest, I'm still thinking he's an absolute cunt. I'm not speaking to him ever again.
Who?
Boyers.
You're stubborn though, aren't you?
Head of recruitment, Gallen, yeah.
I'm never speaking to him again. And if I see him, I'm making it obvious what a cunt I think he is. Even though it's worked out all right, I've just not got that in my locker to say, well, all right, sound. Yeah.
See, but so I think the only reason I can probably, what I can put it down to is the fact that I didn't hold on to that is Kenny Jackett released me from Millwall as an 18-year-old. I was 5 months into a contract, 4 months into a contract. It was Christmas, I think. And I was 3 months before my birthday in March. So at that point, Kenny Jackett has come to me and said, and I believe his words were, "You're not experienced enough." Now I'm 18 years old. I'm a first-year pro at Millwall. I think I was on £110 a week. Like, experience? How do I get experience if I don't play? I'd been out on loan to the conference, Eastbourne Borough. I'd scored on Setanta, as it was back then. My first goal in men's football. I'd had a couple of loans, and the manager says to me, "You're not experienced enough." So from that point until I think the next time I saw or played against Kenny Jackett's team, he was the Wolves manager and I was at Sheffield United. And my hatred for him and his decision had fueled everything that had gone on. So I'd have probably been 23. Yeah, 23 at that point when I've then played against his Wolves team. And Joe Gallen, Steve Gallen's brother, who was his assistant manager, comes up to me and says, well done, Lyle. We told you you'd never make it. And you know what? You've done really well for yourself. And at that point, I let go of years and years of hatred that had driven me. And that was what I used as fuel to get me to that point. I think in that moment, it was vindication of what I'd been able to prove.
But did that anger get you to where you
100%.
eventually got?
100%. Because the anger drove me to the point of him saying that. And then it was, okay, I have a talent, I have a gift. I've been able to prove those who doubted me wrong. Now this is for me. And I went to Scunthorpe and it didn't work out. And then I went to Wimbledon and it clicked. It clicked for me under Neil Ardley. It clicked, and me and Neil Ardley, we butted heads because I thought things should be done a certain way. I got frustrated because I thought players should be better than they were, and I expected better than some of those players were able to give. I then started working with a psychologist, Steve Sylvester, and he taught me that you had to sacrifice yourself for the good of the group and leave your ego at the door. Now, that's very difficult for a striker because we're ego driven. It's about goals. We put the ball in the net. We wear 9 on our back. We are top dog. I carry the hopes and dreams of a fan base because I am the striker. But he taught me a different way, and that then matured me because I stopped expecting people to do stuff, especially at Wimbledon, that they weren't capable of doing.
Did it alienate you when you were a bit like that from the rest of the lads?
Yeah, it caused problems. My first year at Wimbledon, we just played Accrington in the playoff semi-final, the first leg. The manager takes me off. At this point, I'm top scorer. I don't even know what it was, 22, 23 goals so far that season. Tom Beer, as a young lad at Wimbledon, has just come on and scored against Accrington in the playoff semi-final first leg. We then have the end of season awards dinner and all that with the fans, and Wimbledon being a fan-owned club, it's a bigger thing than at the majority of clubs that I've played for. And I didn't get player of the season. I didn't get players player of the season. I didn't get supporters player of the season. But I've scored 22 goals and got 10 assists or whatever it is. I am the man. Like, how dare you not give me that?
And you sat there in your suit and that.
Yeah.
Looking away from the stage.
It's like when when the camera goes on who loses in Oscars.
Yeah.
And they're like,
my head was in the bin. In the bin. And it was almost like, how dare you disrespect me? How dare you?
I love your honesty.
And I remember after that, like, my head was gone, and everyone could see that my head was gone, but nobody knew why. So we turn up for training. We've got the second leg of the playoff semi-finals. I think we were 1-0 up. I think Tom scored the winner. We won that game 1-0. And the manager pulls me because you can see I'm angry. So we go for a walk around the training ground. I didn't find this out until a lot later, but while we're walking around the training ground, there's a meeting going on inside. And the boys are having a meeting, and the meeting goes some kind of, from what I was told, the meeting was kind of like, look, Lyle's going to be an arsehole. He's being an arsehole. But whatever he gives you, just take it, because we're going to need him to win these playoffs. We go up to Accrington. Bayo scores I think we went 2-0 down quite quickly, or we went 1-0 down really early, and then kid Mingoya, I think Josh Windass played in that game, and Mingoya scores an absolute world. If my memory serves right, that's how it went. Go into extra time, the floodlights go out. We're like, oh, here we go, yeah, there's some bullshit going on here. Jake Reeves picks the ball up, goes on a Maisie, shoots, keeper parries it. Revo like rugby tackles his man to hold him down on the floor on the edge of the box. I follow it in to score the winner. Scenes. Mental. It's my first.
Is this definitely what happened? Got the floodlights back on now?
The floodlights are on. The floodlights
so people can see
they
this.
are wrong, yeah. It's in my own mind, it's pandemonium, right? This is playoff semi-final, extra time. These are the things that dreams are made of. This is my first experience of the playoffs in the Football League. Afterwards, we celebrate, and whatever's going on is going on. We go to Wembley. We play Plymouth. I score the first one. Bale scores the second one. We've done it. We've won the playoffs. In that moment, I think everything changed for me. I stopped being the angry person who just wanted to argue and verbally abuse everyone when they did something wrong. And kind of, I suppose, became a man. I stopped being the little kid, the little bitchy, whiny, fucking, you think you're too good, you think you're better than everyone else kid, and kind of became a man.
Do you think that's why you had so many clubs? Like, pretty much you signed for a club for a year.
Yeah.
I think people's perception of him is, really good player, but he's a fucking dickhead. He's probably not worth the hassle.
I had a lot to say for myself. The only difference is I still have a lot to say for myself. And even at Charlton and Wimbledon and Forest and subsequent places that I've been, I've still had a lot to say for myself. The only difference is I earned the right to say it. When I was younger, I hadn't earned the right. At Sheffield United, at Scunthorpe, at Millwall, I'd have an opinion. I didn't have the right to have an opinion because I hadn't earned the right to have it yet. I hadn't proven myself to anyone. So you're just a kid with an ego problem. I can see that now, and I've been able to see that for years now. But I still can't change who I am, because without who I was, I wouldn't be who I am now. I wouldn't have got to where I've got to now without being hard-headed and stubborn and, fuck you. I'll prove you wrong. To play professional football, you have to be elite in mind and body and ability.
I only had 2 out of the 3. You will figure out for yourself which one I'm fucking liking.
But to get to a good level,
Case for all 3.
Oh, play many fucking games, did you?
But to have a career for an extended period of time, the average career I think is only 8 years long. So to have a career for an extended period of time, you have to be able to become whatever you have to be able to become to, 1, survive, and 2, to flourish. And I've found a way. Was that person a nice person? Oh, probably not. Do I regret it? No.
I think I know the answer to this, but would you do anything different with Charlton, leaving the way you did?
If I could guarantee that I wouldn't have got injured, I'd have played. The problem is I just had the first injury scare of my career. Didn't know what injury looked like before that. Would I do anything different? No, I made the decisions I made with all of the information available to me. Did it work out ideally? No. The ideal would have been even if I'd have played one of those games and we'd have won. Play one of those games, get the point, but we haven't got crystal ball.
Because obviously Charlton got relegated.
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot...
They did.
Everything's
It's mental
heightened,
as well,
isn't it?
because when they got relegated, I was at the driving range at the O2, and there was Charlton fans at the driving range as well. And I remember the result come through, and I got out of there quick.
I think that might have been a mistake, that one, at driving range.
I was like
maybe just seeing it out.
No, but it was an impossibility that they were going down. I think what was the swing on the last day? We'd have to have a look, but I think the swing on the last day was like Barnsley had to beat like Forest and Brentford in their last 2 games or something like that.
We watched the game, the Brentford on the Tuesday night, if you remember, a late goal.
Yeah. So and like Charlton were basically like you don't even need a point. You're good, and it just went really wrong really quick. But no, I don't think I'd change anything. Like, I didn't want Charlton to get relegated. Now, bear in mind, in those 9 games post restart, there was some mental open goals missed by Charlton players. I'm not going to name names, but there's some people who have to carry a lot of blame. And I mean, I'm talking like chances your nan puts away. So they don't get the blame. But it is what it is.
You could say it was criminal of them not to offer you a contract as soon as you got promoted,
Well, we asked for we went in and asked for a new contract. That was the most mental part of it. It was like, are you going to then build this club towards actually some success in the future? And I think the reason he didn't is he'd had the owner at the time, the Belgian owner, had like fans protesting outside his company in Belgium or his offices in Belgium. They'd wanted him gone for years. And I think effectively the problem he had was it was easier to sell a League One club than it was to sell a Championship club, because he didn't want to blow the wages up. He didn't want to pay big money. So there was no real big money being earned at the club. So it was kind of like, I'm going to keep this on a League One budget. And Lee Bowyer done wonders, by the way. At one point that season, we had like 10, 12 injuries. We had kids like 16, 17 years old playing and on the bench. Like Lee Bowyer done wonders. The only reason it got as to the last day of that season was because of the manager and his way of driving the team, and he was able to motivate men, and he was brilliant at it. So really it's testament to his ability and his capabilities that it even got to that point, because the owner pretty much left the club on its knees. And then obviously the fake shake and Southall.
They should make a film on that, but like Catch Me If You Can. Yeah. I used to see him in Panacea, organising nights in Circle and that. And the next thing, he's on Sky Sports News in a suit, buying Charlton.
Mental time that was.
Have you ever seen him looking so smart?
I honestly haven't. He looks absolutely fantastic.
What's he got on?
He has got the new 25-26 under the Cosh strip.
I tell you what, this is giving me 2002 England vibes.
Beckham.
Greece.
Against Greece.
Funny enough, Chris, when I looked at you in that, the last person I thought of was David Beckham.
But you do look good.
The new shirts out now and available on our website and on the O'Neill Sportswear site.
Can I introduce the away kit? We have designed them ourselves.
A bit South American for me, I feel. Don't know why I'm getting them vibes, but I like it.
That's twice you've said vibes, and I don't like that word. You know that. So
I'm not getting any vibes. I'm just seeing two lovely kits.
Yeah.
I'm not getting vibes at all.
Don't make it complicated,
but
Chris.
we've mentioned it many, many times. O'Neill Sportswear, supported the last 3 series of the podcast, and if you want to get your own team kitted out, how many can you get minimum ordered?
Minimum order 7.
7?
But as many as you want from me.
How quick can you get them on your doorstep?
4 to 6 weeks from design to delivery.
If you're looking for a bit of a size guide, that is a medium.
It is a medium
that Chris has got on. Loose fit, I'd recommend.
No, but the link's in the description. If you want to sort your own team out or get an under the Cosh shirt, click away and you can get sorted out.
Great present.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, sugar, yeah.
What a Christmas present that'd be.
And you can still buy the older kits.
You can.
If you like them more, that's sound. We're not here to judge whether you like this one better than the last one. You get whichever ones you want.
So links in the description. Get yourself involved. And a massive thanks, as always, to O'Neill Sportswear for supporting us. Just jumping back a little bit to Wimbledon, and because the trajectory, like the change of, not fortunes, but the trajectory of your career, do you put it down to that change in mentality, like you mentioned? Because you, like we said, there's so many clubs bouncing back and forth up until that point at Wimbledon, and then
so
you just seem to get that stability, scoring goals.
Change in mentality, also a change of the people around me. Jake Reeves, who was central midfielder at the club and is club captain at Wimbledon now, best mate in football. He was a massive calming influence on me. We used to go to the gym after training together, and he would be my sounding board. Simon Bassey, who was the coach,
What's the reason when you say so?
Yeah, Jake was, yeah. Yeah, he really was. He was a very good footballer, very accomplished technically, came through at Brentford. So he was one of those kind of players who was very comfortable on the ball, but also used to run like a dog. Reevesy could understand my frustrations while also being younger than me and being less angry than me and be able to put it into context for me. Simon Bassey, who was the coach, Bass had followed my career to Scotland and back and everywhere. And Bass was incredible for me, an incredible coach. Neil Cox, who I didn't have a great relationship with in the first year because I was an arsehole. I was the one who treated people badly and said things that you shouldn't say. Neil Cox in the second year introduced me to my agent, and me and Coxie then grew a relationship from that point based off of respect.
Because Coxie won't take no shit, would he?
No, Coxie's an incredible bloke. Neil Ardley, who was the manager, he was brilliant for me. Probably allowed me to get away with too much. I remember one instance, we were playing, it must have been a Tuesday, we were playing a small-sided tournament, and there was a team that was majority made up of players who weren't in the team, and they actually won the small-sided tournament, and I went off. They were there, like, shoving it down your throat, taking the pictures and all of that. And I was like, oh yeah, finally I played a game and won, have you? And like stormed off the pitch.
Got him.
Got him.
I hate losing.
Told you'd bite.
I hate losing. And
I'm not voting for him for my player of the year.
and even down to like training games, I hated losing. The fact that I'd lost did not sit well with me at all. So yeah, no, I'd throw my toys out the pram. Toys would be well out the pram. But Steve Sylvester, the psychologist, was another one who was massive for me. And there was a real mix of people in that dressing room, senior players like Paul Robinson, Adebayo Akinfenwa. I remember Bayo beating me up in the dressing room, like literally beat me up, broke my watch, because we were playing Yeovil at home and I used to poke the bear. I loved poking him. I still love poking the bear. If I can get a bite out of you, it's brilliant. And I kept poking the bear. I kept poking and poking and poking, and Bayo eventually lost it. And he's got me in the corner of the dressing room and he's just wailing on me, bang, bang. And I'm covered up like this in a ball. And he broke my watch. And I was like, it got broken up in the end. I can't remember who broke it up, but it would have been a staff member coming and like, that's enough. What's going on in here? Before a game. Mental. But I kept poking the bear, so I deserved it. But it was like there's a totting up process of all of your experiences in life. They turn you into what you are. And I eventually learnt to be a little bit less of an arsehole.
Could you take criticism?
Yeah, because that was what...
From anyone, like, you know, like, so say I'm playing up front with you, and I'm like, fucking hell, you're having a fucking shitter. Would you go, well, he's right, or you go, fuck you, I'm not?
If I felt I was playing badly, it could have gone really wrong really quick, because I could have gone under, being the younger me. The really angry me would go, all right then, watch this, I'll show you. So I think it was always with me, it was all about timing. It was all about timing and who it was coming from. If it was coming from somebody I respected as a man, as a player, then it landed better. If it was coming from somebody that I thought, hang on, you can't lace my boots, then no, it didn't. It went left. It went left.
He's featured heavily in the last few months. Marinakis, is it?
Yes.
From Forest. How was he when you were there?
Scary man. Scary
He
man.
does look a bit. Is that the one who's there now?
Yeah.
He's got an aura about him. I remember him being on the side of the pitch watching training. I think it would have been quite early in pre-season in my second year. So Chris Hughton was still the manager, and Mr. Marinakis is stood on the side, and he's got people with him. Security at his left hand, his right hand, God only knows. But I remember him watching training, and he's only 6 foot tall, but he's a big man, and he's there when he's there. And I remember walking up to him after training, and Mr. Marinakis shook his hand, and I hightailed it into that dressing room. I got out of there as quickly as I could, because you hear the stories. Who knows if they're true? I don't know, but you hear the stories, and it kind of shapes the way you perceive someone. And there's an aura about Mr. Marinakis.
Does he carry a gun?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
Like they carry guns, don't they? Greeks and that.
Really don't want to know.
It looks like he could make you disappear, doesn't he?
Not every Greek person, obviously, but you know what I mean? I've just done like you've seen the owners in the past, haven't you? Like, with guns in their pockets.
Turkey's the same, isn't it? There was a bloke who stormed the pitch to have a conversation with a referee with a gun in his waist and a holster. You're like, hang on. But no, but what he's done for that football club is amazing. Amazing. Forest were stuck outside of the Premier League for, 23 years or something like that. And it's really good to see them have the success they're having. I hope now Sean Dyche is in there. I really hope that he can turn their fortunes around.
What did you need from your manager to get you the best out of you?
A cuddle majority of the time. I look back at the managers I've had. The ones where I've done really well managed me well, but they were also really good managers of men and motivators. So it's no surprise to me where I've done well and why I've done well, where I've done well. I have tended to respond better to a cupping of the testicles.
Do you know before you sit? But do you know before you've seen this guy at Wimbledon, this psychologist guy?
Yes.
You must have flown back at managers over the years then.
Yeah, and it never ended well. And it always ended badly for me, because I'd always have something to say. Yeah, you're having a go at me. Yeah, but he's done this. And it's like, passing the buck and passing the blame, just... What does
if they've had it at you when you think you've done well, you've done all right, and they've still had it go at you, I can imagine that with like steam coming out of your ears.
Yeah, but then there's times where you have done well, and then there's no reward for that. And that's probably worse. At Forest, when we played Bristol City that night at Ashton Gate, and I've scored twice I've come on in like the 80th minute, and I've scored twice in 47 seconds, which at that time, I don't know if it's changed now, but it was a second off the world record. Gutted. Because scoring twice in a game is something, but scoring twice in like less than a minute is like, what on earth has just happened? You're 1-0 down, all of a sudden you're 2-1 up, and you've scored both goals, and you're like, wow, this is mental.
Was it injury time as well?
Yeah. It was like 91 and 92 or something like that. But it was 47 seconds between the two goals. So we played Fulham at home. That was like the Tuesday or the Wednesday night. We played Fulham at home that weekend. And I think we got beat 4-0, 4-1, something like that. And I'm sat on the bench. I never even got off the bench. It's like, I thought I was going to be starting. I'm sat here for 90 minutes watching this. Like,
This Cooper?
Yeah. And that's probably worse than being told you need to do more and you feel like you've had a good game. Because I've got categoric proof that I did really good stuff.
47 seconds worth of proof.
I can send you the video. It's one clip. We don't even have to send you 2 clips.
Guinness Book of Records good. You know what I mean? It's a second off in the Red Book.
Right. And it's like, that's even worse. But it's football. There's no rhyme or reason in this game.
I did because Boye signed you for Birmingham for what you can do on the pitch, but I'm also guessing he brought you in because you've had an opinion and you'll not ruffle a few feathers, but maybe that.
Expectations.
Yeah. How was it with Troy in that dressing room?
The dressing room was fine. There was never any issue between me and Troy. And
I only say that because Troy, he's opinionated himself and Birmingham fan and whatever.
But we were very much in step because we wanted to achieve the same thing, which was keep the club in the league. And then I think Troy got a little bit of shit after I'd gone back to Forest, and then I tried to throw my name in and, I've scored 1 less goal than Lyle or something like that. And it was like, Why are you bringing me into this? It's nothing to do with me. We were fine. And I mean, I haven't spoken to Troy since, but you'll have to ask him. I doubt there's a problem. I don't think there's a problem. I just didn't really understand why my name got thrown into the conversation when people had said, well, you've not scored enough goals. And it was like, well, I played this many games more than Lyle and only scored 1 goal less or 2 goals less. And it was like, whoa. I'm not your competition. Like, we were teammates pulling in the same direction. So I don't know where that came from, but if anyone's got an issue with me, then take it up with themselves, because I don't care.
Excuse my ignorance here, but what was the crack with the Black Lives Matter initiative? Did you refuse to take a knee from the start?
No. So my initial with Black Lives Matter was Black Lives Matter, the statement. It's 3 words. As a statement, I have 0 issue with that. You are 100% right. So yeah, Black lives do matter. And then post-COVID world shutdown, information starts becoming weaponized, and disinformation and misinformation keep getting put out there. So I took my time, obviously post George Floyd riots and all of that, and cities burning in America, and things going really, really bad across the world because of that. So I took time to actually go onto the Black Lives Matter website and read what they said their mission statement was. And in reading it, it didn't sit well with me. And I mean, we'd be paraphrasing at this point because I couldn't tell you what it said word for word, but Black Lives Matter was set up by a group of 3 people who saw no place in the home for a man, the nuclear family for a man. I believe, unless I'm incorrect, they were 3 lesbian women who set up Black Lives Matter. And then Black Lives Matter then took all of the funding, and they were found to be buying themselves. So at this point, I've gone, nah, I ain't kneeling. No point. What you're trying to do is right. The vehicle you're using to try and get to where you're trying to get to is wrong, in my opinion. So I said, look, I'm not kneeling. Obviously, I think it was Wilf Zaha said, I'm not kneeling. I'm standing in power. Whatever, okay, fine, no problem. Everyone is able and able to take it in whichever way they want to. So I remember speaking to Chris Hughton about it and saying to him, look, I'm not kneeling. And he said to me, he said, Lyle, your politics don't line up with my politics, and the club are in line with me. Okay. It means nothing to me. Could that have potentially hurt me at Nottingham Forest? Yeah, possibly. But I stand by what I believe in. And I believe I've been proven right in the time from then to now, because Black Lives Matter, but the people, the founders, were found to be embezzling money and buying properties and taking money out of the charitable fund and doing this and doing that. So yeah, okay, I was proven right, but could that have potentially cost me? Yeah. Would I do it again knowing the outcome? Yeah, because I did what I thought was right. And the same way with everything else that I've done, I did what I thought was right, and I made my opinion known, and I stood on that. And that was my kind of view on Black Lives Matter. The statement to this day is correct. Don't get me wrong on that. Are there racial inequalities in the world? Yes, there are. Are there gender inequalities in the world? Yes, there are. So do we live in a world that's perfect? Absolutely not. Are we a long, long way from it? Yes, yeah, we're miles away from a perfect world. And I don't want to politicize this conversation, because you're never going to agree with everything that everyone else says. But as it stands right now, we live in a country that's in an absolute mess. The statement Black Lives Matter is correct. Yes, 100%. The group, the company, the charitable foundation, whatever it is that correct? In my opinion, no.
Do you feel like it forced you to politicise your career at that point at Forest and Chris Hughton's eyes?
Maybe so. I remember I was asked to go on LBC one morning on my way into training. I had a conversation with Nick Ferrari. And it was that day that I got pulled into the manager's office, and he said to me, you're not allowed to do any press from now on unless it's run by me.
So yeah,
did it have an effect? Yes, it did. But I still wouldn't change it. Because if we can't have an opinion, politically or otherwise, and we can't speak that opinion, even if it is to be shot down or to be debated, then what are we doing? This is not a democracy anymore.
Yeah.
Is that a communist society?
You're straight into 1984.
Well, and I mean, unfortunately, we're living in a country where the police are now arresting people for hurty words, as it were. So I think we're along 12,000 people, or whatever it was in the last year. So I think, no, we're a long way from being in the place where we need to be as a society, as a country. But the world is in a real mess at the moment. A real mess.
I think it's a shame as well. I know Phil Foden's come out last week, and he's just saying, just let us play football. You know, that's people's escape. Football's the escape. And I think it was about the rainbow armband, and he's not saying he stands with what it stands for, but don't politicize the game. It's people's escape.
Game of football.
But they pick and choose, though. They pick and choose. When Mesut Ozil was campaigning for the Uyghur Muslims in China, I believe it was, being genocided or killed or mistreated, he was then ostracized by Arsenal. But when it comes to the Ukrainian flag, that was flown around all of the football clubs in the country. When it comes to like Russia doing what Russia did, that was condemned, completely condemned by the footballing body. When it comes to rainbow laces, that is pushed. When it comes to her game too, that is pushed. So they pick and choose when they want to do it and when they don't.
Whatever fits the agenda.
And that's the issue. You either go, we're not politicising this game at all, or we're going to go from this viewpoint, whether it be leftist, whether it be right, whether it be central and lean in either side, we're going to go from this viewpoint. But the problem is when you pick and choose, you're going to get people's backs up. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't push for rainbow laces and equality, gender equality, whatever the term would be. I'm not saying that we shouldn't push for her game too to be recognised. I'm just saying we either go one way with it or we go the other way with it. So Phil Foden, in my opinion, is right. Don't politicise me when it suits you. But if I have something to say like Mesut Ozil did, you then shut me down and say I can't talk. That's then when you're in a bit of a sticky situation.
I mean, obviously we'll go on to something a bit more serious. Does Steve Cooper look like Schmeagol with no clothes on as well, or just in his tracksuit?
No comment. Do you know what? He was one of the best footballing minds I've come across. The way he would set the team up and get his coaching points across was like nothing I've ever seen. And I know Steve Rands, who was the head analyst, was also massive in terms of how they delivered their message and how they would help set the team up. But yeah, wow, that was Steve Cooper really opened my eyes to another level of coaching that I hadn't been privy to before.
If you needed to bounce your location to somewhere else in the world for whatever reason, who would you use?
Oh, it's an excellent question.
I think it's an easy one to answer, though.
NordVPN for me.
Yeah,
every
that's the only one
time.
I've ever used.
Every time. And you've been using it a lot. I know that.
We all have,
spoke
Chris,
about
we
it
all have.
For whatever reasons.
Never thought I'd go to Norway, but lovely country.
But it's perfect if you're watching sport. You want to watch sports that's being shown in another country. Bounce your location anywhere in the world. You're there. You're watching, or you're abroad. You want to watch Emmerdale? Get on your app. Bounce your location back to the UK. Hey ho, let's go.
The best one I use it for that time when I were away and I watched the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
Obviously on the Sky Go. Not available in this location, it says, doesn't it, when you want to watch Sky abroad?
I tell you what else you can do, little tip as well. Bounce your location somewhere else when you're booking flights or hotels and stuff. It's cheaper in other countries.
I mean, there might be concerns out there that the security isn't as strong as others, or what would you say to that, Chris?
Let me put them concerns to rest, because NordVPN, renowned for having outstanding security. Nobody's getting in, nobody's hacking, getting your bank details, your passwords. Just rest at ease.
To be honest with you, I didn't even know people could do that, but until I got involved with the NordVPN.
Is it watertight?
Watertight. Links in the description, and we've got a special offer where by using the code Cosh, you get a heavy discount and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Just follow that link in the description.
And are you still playing for Montserrat? What's the crack there?
As it stands, we've got no manager and no games until September 26th. So I don't even know. I don't know what's going on. I haven't heard from anybody at the FA from September 2024.
Are they taking applicants? Because we could do a job there.
Yeah.
We'll get our CV in.
The new manager got put in place, and his assistant manager used to work at Charlton in the academy or the community or whatever it was. So I knew him, Damo. So the new manager got put in place for 2 games. That was the first time I found out that Lee Bowyer wasn't the manager. No one told me anything. So that happened. He took charge of those 2 games. I think the team did okay. I didn't play in those. And then 2 weeks ago, he got the job as Trinidad and Tobago's women's team manager. So I don't know what's happened there. So I put a message in the group, and everyone was like, don't know.
Don't know.
Is that because it's just that relaxed, or like?
Oh, the Caribbean is he's horizontal.
That does it not drive you mad?
Honestly,
spoke about.
It drives me up the wall. You cannot get anything done on any sort of timescale. They just,
Were you ever played by Mick Rathbone?
Yes. So Baz was assistant manager to
Donaghy?
Yes, Willie. So Willie was the manager, and and Baz was his assistant, and he was a character and a half. Oh my God, he was a character. I've got some mental videos in my phone, like singing and dancing and doing just crazy stuff. He was brilliant, and Willie was so good as the manager. He kind of tapped into. He had this one. He said this once about Montserrat, and he said about us being poor but proud. And it was like everyone was just like, "What on earth have you just said?" But it just became like an in joke. Yeah, lads, brilliant. We're poor but proud. We are, and it became kind of like us. His record as the manager was unbelievable. We won games that we should never have even been in. And there was boys who didn't even play football, boys who were playing non-league football, like training once a week and playing a game in the park effectively. And we were going out there and we were taking it to like your El Salvadors and teams like it was bonkers. And in all seriousness, we would spend all day around the pool drinking. We'd go and train in the evening, and then like, a game would be the next day. So we'd actually, on the day of the game, we'd do it right and we'd hydrate and do it properly. But it was like stag do every time we went away. It was just carnage.
Did you have any pushback from any managers about going playing?
Yeah, Lee Bowyer, funnily enough. So when I signed for the club, I think it would have been the September international break. So the first international break of that season, I think we played Wickham. And he said to me, he said, Lyle, you cannot go on international break. I need you. We've got a massive game against Wickham. So I've gone, all right, fine, I'll stay. I'll play. I think we beat Wickham. I think I scored in that game. The rest of the boys had gone away on international duty. Obviously, then 5 years later or whatever it was, Lee Bowyer becomes the manager of Montserrat, and he's like, "Lyle, can you come away?" "No, I can't." Manager said no. Manager said he needs me, and he's like, "No, Lyle, I need you to come." No. Manager said no. Do you remember when the tables were turned, bro? So it was funny. But yeah, there was a little bit of pushback because you're flying halfway around the world. It's a lot of connecting flights in the Caribbean as well. Like we'd fly to New York and then down to Antigua and then across, or Miami to Antigua and then across, because
You're not knackered when you got there, like.
yeah, no, gone. Absolutely gone. But
How much a stag do, innit? I don't mind travelling. I don't mind travelling for a stag do.
Yeah, even on 3 hours, even on 3 hours sleep, you're around the pool with a bottle in your hand, aren't you?
But post-COVID, it got worse because like we used to fly BA to Antigua, and then all of a sudden, BA aren't flying to Antigua anymore. So it just became a nightmare logistically. And as you can imagine, logistics and the Caribbean being horizontal don't go well. So yeah, it was a nightmare.
I was big Stevie Fletcher at Bournemouth. I don't know him at all, but he just looks like one of us to me.
Fletcher was interesting. He was a superhero, a mortal superhero, Fletcher was. Funny man. Funny man. I remember being told a story of him shaving his bum hole at the back of the bus.
Oh, that seems dangerous.
In full view of everybody else. And it was like, what?
I can imagine this before bumholes used to get shaved and all.
Do you reckon you're going that way, or?
No, he went legs akimbo, one on each seat, sat in the middle at the back of the bus.
The driver's like looking for a mirror.
This was what I was told. And it was just like,
That's where the kitchen is and all, isn't it?
At that point, it was like, what? Like that, there's no way that's true. Yeah. Okay, fine, brilliant.
He'll come on, by the way.
He will.
Yeah, I want to see him shave his asshole now. I'm bothered about his football stuff.
Did Lee Bowyer want you to stay at Birmingham?
I don't know. I don't know if it was ever an option. Looking back at it now, if I'd have been given the opportunity to stay at Birmingham, I would, in hindsight, have loved to have stayed. I got on really well with the fans. The fans were brilliant. They took to me really well as well. But at the same time, I'd gone back into a pre-season where Forest had been promoted to the Premier League, a place I'd never been before. And in pre-season, I did really well. And there was players saying, like, you've got to be given an opportunity. And I sat on the bench at Newcastle on the opening day of the season, didn't get on. And I remember speaking to Steve Cooper because he told me pretty early on in that pre-season, it might have even been the first day, like, find yourself a new home. And I was like, okay. And I spoke to my agent and he went, do you fancy forcing your way in? I went, yeah, go on then. I forced my way into his plans. I'm going to win the running. I'm going to be the best player at the club in pre-season. And I did really well in that pre-season. I do believe I was the top scorer in pre-season at the club. And then I sat on the bench and I'm like, oh, hang on. But I'd said to Steve Cooper, I said, just give me one appearance in the Premier League. I said, and I will walk away from this football club. Not a problem. And he did it. I sat on the bench, first game of the season. He could have brought me on and he didn't. Second game of the season, we're West Ham at home. Sat on the bench again. And we didn't even make all of the subs. And we beat West Ham 1-0 at home. I think we got beat by Newcastle 2-0 or whatever it was. And that was the atmosphere. Wow. I've been to St James's Park a few times. I've done some work, some co-coms work and stuff like that. And the atmosphere there was something else. But as a player, my God, the hairs on your arms, the back of your neck stand up. The place is so loud. It's incredible. And that was like, whoa. But he gave that one appearance to other players in the dressing room that he'd also told to leave. I remember Cafu had been told the same thing, and he played in that game at Newcastle. He got off the bench, and the West Ham game at home, he could have brought me on, and I only asked for 1 minute, and he didn't grant me that. And I have my shirt from those two games, my Red Forest shirt, no sponsors. And I will frame that shirt with Taylor 33 Premier League lettering and numbering, and I will frame that shirt, and I will frame that shirt as a reminder. You don't always get what you deserve, and you are not always in control of what you do get. And that's why I will frame that shirt, and I'll keep that shirt forever as a reminder of that. Not because, oh, I've got my name in Premier League letters and numbers. Oh, that's something for me to celebrate. Yeah, it is something to celebrate. This is where I got to. But it's more of a reminder of you don't always get what it is that you've earned the right to.
See, I can't leave not to tell me if he looks like fucking Schmeagol now with no colours on. To give you a minute, fair enough, back him up, but come on, Schmeagol.
No, do you know what? For what he did, yeah, no, it doesn't look like him. If he'd give me that minute, I'd have said, no, he doesn't. But no.
Was there opportunities to leave during that year, or did you always think, I'm going to keep pushing, get that minute?
So after that second game, the Premier League squads had to be announced, I think it was. So the 25-man squad has to be announced. So at that point, there was then an opportunity for me to go to Turkey. So I had everything agreed with a Turkish club, and it was going to be an 18-month deal. Forest were going to pay me up, whatever they were going to pay me up, and it was done, and everything was signed off on. I'd packed my suitcase. The dog was not happy. Suitcase
Not like kebabs.
Suitcase comes out, and he's like, "What's going on here?" Then? So I've packed my case. Everything's agreed. Agent calls me. They don't want us to act as your agent in this deal. He said, we don't care as long as you get what it is that we've agreed. So, okay, pack your bags. Carried on packing. Calls me back, it must have been an hour. Deal's off. The manager wants you to use his agent because he wants a different striker. The manager of this football club in Turkey because he wants a different striker who his agent looks after as well. But he's agreed that they can have you as long as he gets 100 grand out of the deal. I was like, what are you even talking about? None of this makes any sense. Like, you're just saying words at me at this point.
And where's this 100 grand have to come from? You?
100 grand would have come out of my contract.
Right.
So the way it works in Turkey is, let's say you agree, let's say an 18-month deal, you agree they're going to pay you, for ease of maths, 100 grand a month. So over that 18 months, they give you 100 grand each month for 18 months. You end up with 1.8. He wanted to take 100 grand out of that because they then pay your tax. So you get whatever it is that's agreed with you, you get. But then they pay your tax on their side of it, the football club. So, okay, so you agree 100, that's 100. So he wanted to take 100 out of that for himself on top of me using his agent. And it was like, what? I've never heard of anything like this, because football in England is regulated, in Britain is regulated. We're covered by the PFA. We have a governing body. We've got FIFA over the top of it. You've got UEFA. You've got the FA, the Scottish FA, the Welsh FA, whatever it might be. And it was just like, what? How does that work then? So at that point, I was like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere then. So I stayed. And then I had to train in the afternoons on my own. I was training at like 2:00 on my own, me and one of the physios. Played football, golf pretty much every day. And that was the year where we had the World Cup was in the December. And I remember going in and speaking to Steve Cooper about me being allowed to train with the first team while the players who went to the World Cup were at the World Cup. And it was eventually agreed. Ross, who was then in as like CEO or whatever he was, had taken me to Falkirk when I was 21. So I had a long-standing relationship with him. So managed to kind of wiggle my way back into training for that 2-week period while the boys were at the World Cup. So I went back in, trained, did well. And then the first team were flying to Valencia to play against Valencia in a friendly in that like just before Christmas. I think it was like the 17th of December, something like that. I was supposed to be off, but we had another deal lined up with another Turkish club. So because they've obviously seen that I've not played and I wasn't allowed to play in the 21s in that period from like August to December, they wanted to check that I was fit. So they wanted me to play in a 21s game. So there was a 21s game on the Monday. I believe it was up at Hull. And this was the Thursday. So I was supposed to be off the Thursday, in the Friday, Saturday, Sunday with the kids. The first team were away and whatever. Or was I supposed to be off the Thursday and Friday in the Saturday, Sunday? Whatever it was, it was. But the kids were training in the dome. It snowed and everything was frozen over. Where no more than 30 seconds from the end of the training session, a ball's been clipped long inside on the AstroTurf. I've jumped, controlled it, landed. As I've landed, I've tried to then turn. And I've just heard this like popping bang noise. Instantly, it's the only thing that you can hear go pop is your cruciate. Couldn't get a scan because the first team were in Spain. The rest of the boys are at the World Cup. I'm technically not a first team player because I'm not registered. So it's like, well, you're on the academy budget now. So you get a scan whenever the academy can manage to get you a scan. Obviously don't have the same pool as the first team. If I was a first team player, I'd have been in a scanner half an hour later. But it was what it was. So I think I ended up getting a scan like 3 days later. Turns out it wasn't my cruciate. I'd broken my leg. My femur had smashed the top of my tibia and it had cracked in and down. So I got a broken leg. I ain't going to Turkey now, am I? I'm not playing Monday. I'm not going to be able to show Alanya Spor or whoever it was that I'm fit. That's me done. Then came the really hard part, which was where we're not going to treat you. You can go to.
Is this all Cosh Schmeigel, this?
Well, I don't know.
It must be coming from above.
But why is Schmeigel making him train on an afternoon on his own?
Is that what we're calling him now? Is it?
Yeah, Schmeigel. It's not culprit Schmeigel. Even more so now.
I don't know where it came from. I don't
you.
know who it came from. And it was a case of like you can go to there's a clinic, an injury clinic somewhere in Italy. It was like you can go there. I was like, well, why would I go there? You've got to treat me. No, you can go there, but you've got to pay for your flights and hotel. Okay, well, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not going there, am I? So whatever it is, it is. You've got to treat me. If you're not going to treat me, then we can take this to court and we can go that way with it, but you legally have to treat me. So whatever. So they ended up sending me to St. George's Park. Now, for me to get the treatment I needed at St. George's Park, they had to pay like £1,400 a week for me to be one-to-one with a physio at Game Changer. And those guys at Game Changer were godsends.
I know, like you say about parking this anger and all that sort of shit, and you were on about how well you want Forest to do and all that, but I'd be like, fuck you.
But it wasn't those. So the people that did that aren't the people that are there.
Is it not Mr. Keriakis, whatever he's called?
Well, Marinakis. Okay, so Marinakis owns the football club. Marinakis don't get involved in the day-to-day on what's going on in Lyle Taylor's world.
But he's still the owner, isn't he?
It is, but okay. So if your Amazon parcel don't turn up, do you go and blame Bezos?
If I got his fucking number, I would, yeah. If I stood outside the training pitch, if I stood up bottom in my garden, no, Jeff.
Jeff, you fucker.
You bald cunt. Come and sort this out.
But that's kind of just how it's gone for me.
I'd still have a bit of a grudge against Forest, thinking, I signed you in good faith.
Yeah,
and you've twatted me off.
And they paid me every month on time. And they have given me experiences and got me to a place in the Premier League that I would never have got to, or may never have got to otherwise. A place that, was I ever good enough to get to? I don't know. We'll never know, because what happened. Was I good enough to play in the Premier League for 10 minutes? I don't know. We'll never know. So I can hold on to all of the anger and I can be really pissed off that things didn't go my way, but wouldn't that just be me being the petulant Lyle from 10 years ago?
Yeah, but I still think it's total bollocks, don't you? They're a Premier League club and they're not paying for one of the players.
Yeah, that's shit.
No, but legally they then had to, but they made it as difficult as they possibly could.
Why? It's just hassle, isn't it?
No, why exactly?
John's 43
Why?
and still petulant. I think that's what this comes down to.
Why exactly? But whether they treat me like that or they don't, do you think they actually care enough of what I feel? Because I don't believe they do.
I just believe it's just a duty of care of being one of your players, your employees.
But then when I went back after the injury, Ross Wilson treated me really well because he did what he could do. I asked to play in the 21s and I had been told that I wasn't allowed to play in the 21s. And Ross used his weight, and my previous relationship with him used his weight to get me games in the 21s. He asked me, he said, "Are you ready? Do you feel physically capable?" Yes, I do. Please play me. I need people to know that I've not just been inactive for a year. Because at this point, no one knows I've broken my leg. Because I'm not in the first team anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. I've not been registered to play, so it doesn't make a difference. People look at it and go, well, why did Lyle not get out in January? Wasn't able
when
to.
I looked at it, I thought you'd just sat out.
Wasn't able to get out. No, I broke my leg. That year of inactivity ended with me playing in League One for Wickham, playing in League One for Cambridge, dropping down to League Two. If that hadn't happened and I'd have gone to Birmingham, I might have signed a 2-year deal at Birmingham and might have played in the Championship. I might still be in the Championship because players that left Forest when I left Forest, Steve Cook, for example, still playing in the Championship now. Cookie's only a year younger than me. Jack Colback only retired, or has he even retired? He left QPR the summer just gone. So where would I possibly be? But we can sit here and say that until the cows come home. I'm where I am. I'm happy where I am. I'm able to look myself in the mirror and be happy with what I have and what I am and who I am.
Still fucking still
Peace of mind for me trumps all.
Wheel.
Peace of mind and happiness trump everything for me.
Yeah, and I
Just
I
let
don't
it go, John.
I'm pissed off for him.
Let these things
I'm
go.
fucking furious for him. I want to ching fucking Kenny Jacket and all that. Never give him a chance.
as well?
Fucking 8 jackets having it. Fucking Humpty Dumpty head.
He's still on pens.
Still on pens.
I can get behind that. Have you seen the technique?
No.
Where did it come from?
So we got some penalties at Charlton because we had some players that were rapid, lightning quick and tricky.
Good at diving.
And really good at diving.
First one get bald.
They could sell it. They could. And obviously Lee Bowyer signed me as his number 9. He said, my number 9 takes penalties. End of discussion. Okay, fine. I'll be on pens then. I think I missed 2 out of 5 so far that season. And I was like, this is unacceptable. You've got a shot from 12 yards. There has to be a better way than just running up to the ball, picking a side and going, right, this is what I'm doing. So I worked with Andy Marshall, who was the goalkeeper coach, and Dylan Phillips, who was our goalkeeper. And we slowed it down so that I could be more accurate and that the goalkeeper wouldn't be able to guess and go so early. But it got slower and slower and slower to the point it became a walk. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what I look for, but I look at one thing, and the goalkeepers that I've practiced my penalties with at every club I've been with, they know exactly what it is. A lot of the players know exactly what it is. But I look at one thing and one thing only. But by me walking up to the ball, I can still kick the ball hard enough that you can't reach the corner of the goal as the goalkeeper, unless you go early, in which case I can still change my mind because I don't know which way I'm going. I'm watching one part of you as the goalkeeper. So it started out as I need to be more accurate. I need to be able to pick out a certain part of the goal, choose a certain part of the goal and pick out that part of the goal more consistently by slowing down how quickly I approach the ball. So it slowed down until I got to the point of I am strolling up to the ball now and there it is, it's gone in again. But I don't know how many penalties I've taken since, and I think it's 25 or so, and I've not missed. So it works. So even if I miss, and don't get me wrong, when I miss, it's going to get put on Twitter or put on Instagram, and I'm going to look an arse. But the fact of the matter is the technique works. It bears fruit.
It's like the walk. It's the walk when you need a piss, when you desperately need a wee.
Like a bit of a waddle.
Yeah, or nearly missing the bus when you don't want to run. that kind of walk.
We need to get on to fucking Tuchel, don't we then? Get you in America next year with lads.
It works. And I think it was just after I started doing it, Ivan started doing what Ivan Toney started doing what Ivan does. Now, I had a bit of banter with Ivan during lockdown that we'd have a penalty shootout, me against him. And it never came to anything. But it's interesting because his technique works and he's missed one and he looked an arse when he missed it, but his technique still works.
I used to hate taking pens, me. I used to take them, but I used to hate them.
I know
See,
what
if
you
I'm
mean.
missing, I'm a look a right cunt.
See, but that's like the beauty of the technique is I don't look at penalties now going, if I miss. We get a penalty. Okay, it's 0-0. No, it's not. It's 1-0. I'm not even taking it yet. It's 1-0.
In fact, let's just save all this time and hassle. Let's run back to
Take it
the
to the
halfway
centre
line.
Halfway line now.
Like on Kes. Come on, I've got the ball here. Put it down on the thing and we're good to go.
But that's how it is because I am supremely confident, and you have to be confident to take penalties in the way I take penalties. But eventually, I'll miss. It's what it is.
I was hoping for the pink hair today, being October.
Yeah, you said you
Yeah.
fancied him with the pink hair.
It's not as easy as just dye your hair pink. There's a lot that has to go into it with cancer research being on board and checking on sponsors and kit suppliers, and it's been relatively easy because Hummel, when we were at Charlton, we were Hummel. And they were really, really good and really helpful. And Tracy Leeburn, who was player liaison officer, was a juggernaut. So she wouldn't even sleep until stuff was done. So she was amazing. But then I went to Nottingham Forest and it became Macron because Macron was our kit supplier. So that was kind of that. But then when I went to Colchester, we were Macron again. So there was already that pre-existing relationship. Yeah. So when I leave and I come to Chelmsford and it's Surridge now, it's not quite as easy to get stuff done when you're out of the league. So it was quite difficult. Now, is it something we can possibly work towards doing next year? Yeah. And I think it would be well adopted. But my God, I'm going to get dogs abuse in non-league.
Is that right? You raised 80 grand? You've raised 80 grand for cancer research?
Unbelievable thing.
Yeah,
brilliant.
It all came from my own personal story was people in my family having cancer, beating cancer, having cancer, and passing away. And I did it for a really selfish reason, and I stand by the fact that it was a selfish reason. But it's something that affects so many more people now than it ever should. I think we're probably at about 1 in 2. Unfortunately, I think we'd have all seen people deteriorating through having cancer. So I did it for a selfish reason that became kind of a driver, a social driver at the clubs I was at, and even other clubs, to be fair. People of other clubs wanting to join in because it's something that's touched them personally. And I've had some horrific stories come my way because of it. People losing family members, mums, dads, kids, nieces, nephews, whatever it might be, husbands. But at the same time, you kind of know you're doing something good by having the conversation. Because don't forget, when I was doing this at Forest, we were in, there was a cost of living crisis. People weren't able to heat their homes and put food on their tables. So at that point, I'm saying to people, look, this isn't about the money raised. It's about having the conversation. If I can have the conversation or make one person have the conversation, I've done the right thing by wearing pink boots and having my hair bright pink. And it's mad because as soon as I dye it pink, I'm like, what on earth have I done?
I thought you were going to go the other way and think, fuck me, it looks well.
No, but then after 2 or 3 days, I'm like, yeah, I look the nuts. But the upkeep is mental, and you can ruin a bathroom. I've ruined a bathroom, and the dyed grout pink that can't be got out, and yeah, but. No, it's an amazing cause, and they do some incredible work, Cancer Research UK, and the people that I've been able to meet and share stories with along the way have been amazing.
Fair play, mate.
What you can do? Just carry on playing as long as you can, or?
I've always said when the body can't do what the mind wants it to do, it's time for me to call it. When I can see something and I can't do it quick enough, I'm gonna call it. But at the same time, I know there's a lot of life to live after football, and I've seen what players can become after football, where they play until the wheels fall off and their knees give up and their hips and their ankles. I don't want to be, I don't think disabled is the right word. I don't want to be less
impaired.
Yeah, I don't want to be less bodily able for the next 30 years or 40 years of life, should I be lucky enough to make it that long. So I don't want to play until I'm broken. That's not the goal for me. There's a lot of life and a lot of things that I want to experience after football. I don't want to be broken.
Good stuff, mate. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on.
Appreciate your honesty and all.
Thank you for having me.
Refreshing. Appreciate that.
Still Schmeagol. Still Schmeagol for me.
Jacket's still getting it?
Yeah, jacket's still a come.
Did you know that we've got almost 200 unreleased episodes on Patreon? You know that, Chris? Which are your favourites?
I'm going to give you Ron Atkinson,
Yes.
Yakubu, Mark Crossley, Part 2.
One of my personal favourite.
For anybody that doesn't know, what is Patreon?
Patreon is the app that not only helps support the podcast, but also gives you access to, like I said, almost 200 unreleased episodes and an extra 2 every month.
I like it because we get away with a lot of stuff on Patreon that we wouldn't normally on YouTube. And we've set up a community chat, which...
Yes, with the Friday Club,
with
some
Friday
of the images
Club.
on there. Yeah.
But Patreon's great for growing our Friday Club. That's why we're here.
We're helping the Friday Club grow and the regular series, and I like that community being together on there as well, where everyone's chatting and having a laugh about the episodes.
And it's cheap.
Very cheap. I'd say cheaper than, what, a pint? Yeah.
Yeah.
A toasty these days from an expensive coffee shop.
Expensive
and
retailer.
a coffee.
Yeah.
A coffee. A scented candle, they're expensive.
Mm-hmm.
A bag for life, maybe. What else is like about that price? I tell you what's about that price. A wine cooler in the shape of a cowboy boot.
Yes. That is expensive then these days.
I think it's between your legs, John. Anything else?
No, just sign up.
Or pie. A pie. It's cheaper than a pie.
The money shot.
No, but it is about supporting the podcast, and like we said, it just helps us create. Oh, a bag for life, yeah, with a cat on it. It helps us keep creating the podcast, and we just really appreciate it, and just builds that community, doesn't it?
Well done, John.
$14.99.
It's not that expensive.
£3.50 plus VAT.
There we go. So you could actually buy quite a few wine cooler cowboy boots. So if you want to sign up, just download the Patreon app, search under the Cosh, you'll be straight in there. And like we've said, if it weren't for the Patreons up to this point, but I don't think we'd be still creating this podcast, would we? So
Up the
thank you.
Cosh.
And get yourself involved.